You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. National Hurricane Center upgrades Hurricane Ian from last year. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Live tropical weather bulletin for April the 4th. And today looks like this. The remnants of Herman in the southeastern Indian Ocean, well to the west of Australia, was our 12th named storm of the year so far. Nothing else is active though right now around the world. The reason we've gone live today is to mainly discuss the headline regarding Hurricane Ian's upgrade, which we'll get onto properly in a moment, but it's 57 days until the upcoming hurricane season. Thankfully there's nothing to track right now over there, although we do have that slight risk across the southern United States today. Ex-Herman over there in the Australian region, along with a 10% chance which may develop near Papua New Guinea and towards Indonesia and over towards the top end of Australia and continuing westwards, possibly southwestwards towards the open Indian Ocean. But that's in the longer range. Elsewhere, of course, ex-Herman and actually nothing else. Some long-range forecasts suggesting that we might get one or two little rumblings, possibly even a Western Pacific system, but that is very far out right now. Looking across the southwest Indian Ocean over there, looking fairly quiet as well. A few thunderstorms popping up off the coast of South Africa and Mozambique. We don't have satellite imagery yet. We're going to sea surface temperatures. That shouldn't have been there, that little slide, but these are the sea surface temperatures right now, pushing close to 30 degrees already in the eastern Pacific, which is looking decent right now, especially for oceanic heat content, which we'll look at in a moment. The Atlantic is also getting up there as well, close to 28 degrees in the western part of the Caribbean Sea, also warming up into the Gulf. And in the North Indian Ocean, very warm sea surface temperatures in the equatorial zone off Sri Lanka, over 30 degrees over quite a few areas there. And in the Southwest Indian Ocean, things are going a little bit off the boil now, of course, later in the season, but it's still there for lots of areas in the tropics, up to 28 degrees around Mauritius and La Réunion, with warmer waters near Madagascar. And still piping hot off the west coast or the northern coast of Western Australia and towards the Northern Territory, with temperatures well above 30 degrees Celsius across the board really, and also into the South Pacific. Decent temperatures there as well near the Southern Solomon Islands and Northern Vanuatu, Fiji and Samoa. 30 to 32 degrees Celsius in a few spots. Western Pacific looks like this as well, temperatures getting up there too, with up to 30 degrees in a few of those areas in the Philippine Sea. Anomalies look like this: Western Pacific above average and possible signs of an El Nino appearing in the Eastern Pacific there, with really warm temperatures off the coast of Peru in South America. Interesting picture there on the anomalies chart. We also have, I think, the OHC charts with us. Just waiting for the next slide. There it is. Very high amounts still in the South Pacific region, as you can quite clearly see there, with extremely high amounts in the equatorial zone. And in the Northern Hemisphere, the Western Pacific building up nicely, but look at the Eastern Pacific as well. I have you know that those values right now are higher, about 25% higher than they were at the peak of last season. Well, that's something to behold. And the music just cut out abruptly. Well, my name's Nathan Foy here in the Force 13 studio to talk about all of tonight's activity. Not only current systems, of which there are very few as we've just seen, but the main topic, which is Hurricane Ian and its post-analysis from the National Hurricane Center, which emerged early this morning, local time. I should say, on Monday, revealing that Ian has been upgraded to 160 miles per hour from the National Hurricane Center, which would make it a Category 5 storm. I'm sure we'll have many opinions from our team members, but that is the news from their update there. You know what? I've still not checked all of the other stuff to do with the report, but that's the headline that they've gone with. That if they have been, they have upgraded it to Category 5 status. Of course, operationally it was Category 4, and it made landfall at that intensity. I think still after the update, it was still a Category 4 at landfall. Let's see if we can introduce. Well, actually, we can introduce some imagery. In fact, this was a video that we uploaded a little while back, just after the storm occurred. And whilst we take a look at that for a minute or two, you'll be able to hear the voices of our team in the background. Let's see if we can hear from a few of them right now. We have David, Charlie, Christian, Diamond, Ethan, Daniel, and Jose. Hello to all of you, but first let's talk to, I would say, one of our most familiar voices right now, Ethan, and I'm sure you may have one or two things to say about Hurricane Ian.
I guess you can come to me first. I mean, that works. But yeah, the National Hurricane Center have, as you said, upgraded Ian. I'm just going to pull up their report so that I can give the reasoning of why they went with this peak intensity. So they say, where is it here? Oh, Ian's estimated peak intensity of 160 miles per hour and a pressure of 937 millibars at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September 28th are based on data from an Air Force Reserve unit, or basically the Hurricane Hunter aircraft. During the missions, the maximum 10-second average flight level winds reported in the hurricane's core were 160 knots, which is 185 miles per hour, from a NOAA aircraft at 750 millibars. That's an altitude of around 6,800 feet. And that was recorded at 10:13 UTC on the 28th, or about 2 hours before 8 a.m. These flight level winds support a surface density estimate of 136 knots, which is around 155 miles per hour. There were also multiple peak SFMR surface wind estimates from both Air Force and NOAA aircraft later on of 137 to 138 knots, which is between 155 and 160 miles per hour, respectively. The SFMR data from the Air Force instrument was flagged as unreliable in the real-time products, but the reprocessing during the post-storm analysis from the updated or using an updated algorithm no longer flagged these values. Due to the extreme turbulence in the region where the maximum sustained winds were located in the western quadrant, the aircraft was only able to sample that part of Ian's core once. A profile of the winds from the NOAA aircraft showed a shallow maximum of winds largely below the aircraft altitude with speeds exceeding 185 miles per hour. And get this, these wind speeds were only 500 to 1,000 feet above the surface. That is quite remarkable, actually. The combination of these data, whenever you take everything and blend it all in, and the consideration of potential undersampling from the SFMR product, support a peak intensity of 160 miles per hour. It should be noted that the NHC best track intensities typically have an average difference of around 10% or so, and that there is very little practical difference between a 160 mile per hour Cat 5 and 155 miles per hour Cat 4. And the pressure data should go on to note that a drop zone reported pressure of 937 millibars with a surface wind of 2 knots. So there's your pressure.
That was the official line, Ethan. But your thoughts?
Personally, I could see them going with that and saying everything. But personally, I would take it a step further. And
okay.
I remember. Oh, just 1 minute.
Oh, well, that was abrupt. Christian's also here. I'm just going to you because you've got face cam right now and we can see you up in our top left corner there. Your thoughts on the storm? You tracked it as well at the time. This was in late September last year when this storm impacted the coast of Florida. So don't worry, this isn't happening right now, those who have just tuned in. But we're covering it because the National Hurricane Center announced today that they upgraded the storm in post-season analysis to Category 5 status. Christian?
Well, I mean, I woke up this morning and I log onto the contributor hub and I see people are freaking out in the internal chat and I'm like, what guys, what's going on? Then obviously that's when I received word and honestly I'm surprised. I mean, yeah, operationally it was 5 mile an hour off. Um, uh, I mean I have friends who at the time thought this was Category 5. Uh, they were in the path of the storm as well. Friends, I should mention they were friends outside of Force 13. And yet they thought that this system was Category 5. They were getting prepared. Thing is though, if the storm was Category 4 at the time, like not I have that feeling that not as many people would take it seriously. I mean, as Ethan was saying, yeah, there's only a 5 mile an hour difference between a 155 Category 4 and a 160 Category 5. Yet that whole category can make a whole lot of difference.
Yeah, so although it was borderline.
It was, yeah, it was borderline. It was one of those cases like, oh, when Iota was operationally a Category 5, but then got downgraded to a 155 Category 4. And then the whole arguments with Lorenzo and Sam.
Well,
as of recent.
Sam, I shouldn't even be there. Let's ask the community then. Let's put out the poll on here, and we'll see which way it goes. I think that the viewers will say that we'll go with the Category 5 because it's the National Hurricane Centre's view. More than anything else, I reckon. Of course, they hold a lot of weight. I still don't think it was a Category 5. Don't think people are too surprised about that. But it certainly was a strong and impressive looking storm, and no one can deny its really outstanding storm surge that it produced when it struck the coast of Sanibel Island and the southwestern part of Florida. If anyone has comments or questions for us throughout this stream, which is mainly covering Hurricane Ian's upgrade from the National Hurricane Center, let us know. Start your message with Force 13 all in text. We've got loads of other people here as well. Would anyone like to... In fact, we've got Kenneth with us, who's one of our main analysts, so let's give Kenneth priority and let us know what you think about this decision that was made earlier today, Kenneth.
Yeah, so I am not staying here very long because it's school time for me, but yeah, I know I need to make some comments with this upgrade. So I'm the analyst, yeah. So so the main back and operationally tracking this system, well, it has been a big debate already when we see, the West Quadrant, wow, there's a major spike. We have 160 knot flight level, 143 SFMR, I believe, or 143 SFMR, right?
I can't remember.
Get real quick. SFMR is 137 to 138. Well, very marginal value, 137 to 138. Well, that is, the major concern back at this time is that it is, theoretically, based on the movement, it is not should be the West Quadrant, but the strongest the West Quadrant. And the SFMR and flight level discrepancy is kind of large. It's kind of large because flight level at this time supports something above 1. Yeah, the face value is about 140, but the SFMR is 137 to 138, and this is the crucial thing. Listen, we don't know at the time what algorithm is using, because you can recall Iota, Matthew, these systems will notice the downgrade because of the SFMR algorithm change, which reduces the winds at extreme high winds. Yeah, which is very considerable 5 to 10 knot downgrade to the SFMR value. But this is later, well, NHC says, okay, it reprocessed using a new algorithm, and this is confirmed. So this cloud, this uncertainty goes away. So just using these face value, okay, 137, 138, okay, 160 not converted, okay, around 140. All right, blended. Okay, it is 140, and that is pretty much how these things work. And okay, 140 not, and then okay, calorie 5.
I really don't know. But Nadami Racing, thank you very much for your support. We appreciate it. Do you think the 937 millibars matches 160? I wonder what your thoughts are on that, Kenneth.
Well, so clearly, just based on the wind pressure relationship, 937 is pretty high for the 160. No. Well, I think except Matthew, it is 140 knots, right? It's Cat 5. The only that's high is Matthew, which is stated is definitely being the most being questioned because it's not so based option. What? But not really definitely very high. But the thing I would hypothesize is that there's a jet interaction. There's clear jet interaction ongoing, which is that's why it can rapidly intensify all the way until landfall. Although infrared has been the greatest. Microwave looks decent as well. Well, satellite doesn't look so impressive for Category 5, but at least, but the jet interaction, it can just increase the winds. Because the jet interaction, it increases the outflow. It may not be the appearance being the greatest, but the interaction bringing the winds up, it's true.
We're just looking at some of the damage videos right now as well, just to remind everyone of Hurricane Ian's impact. And by the way, places along the coast there are still recovering, and probably will be for years in some places there. Really slammed by the storm when it arrived in southwestern Florida, still as a powerful Category 4. And I'm pretty sure that's been maintained in post-analysis that this Category 5 peak was fully at sea, Kenneth?
Yeah, fully at sea.
Okay. Let's see if we can hear from some more voices right now. I don't know who we should go to next, so I will just go from the top down. So let's say hello to David over there in Australia, and I'm sure you might have one or two things to say about the current tropics right now as well.
The current tropics, the Bureau of Meteorology is keeping an eye on Tropical A 23U, and it's expected to form in the Arafura Sea during Wednesday or Thursday, and it's expected to move west and may start to strengthen in the Timor Sea over the weekend. From Saturday till Monday, there's a low likelihood, they've increased the percentages, that 23U becomes a tropical cyclone before it is expected to move further west and out of the region. This is the pre-day outlook. So
you'll have to repeat some of that because changing the file completely broke this software. Man.
I'll remember that one.
Yeah,
okay, good. Tropical low 23U is expected to form in the Arafura Sea. There is a low chance that it will become a tropical cyclone. This is in the northern region before moving into the western region. The western region 3-day outlook also has a broad trough leading to increased thunderstorm activity to the north of the Pilbara Coast, which is Western Australia. And the Bureau Nation is also saying a tropical low may form within the trough, but it's expected to be weak and short-lived.
Interesting. Landfall, because there were more tornadoes before landfall. There were quite a few. And Diamond, you're showing us some radar imagery as well. Are they showing those tornado pop-ups on that? I'm not sure.
There are a couple that are popping up there, yeah.
Tell us what you think.
I honestly don't know that much about the tornado event itself in Ian, but what I did want to point out was I brought up this radar, and I also brought up the National Weather Service watches and warnings. So if I go through, you can see a bunch of warnings being issued for Florida as it treks through, and then eventually South and North Carolina also get under many warnings before Ian finally dissipates, and then all those warnings expire. That was kind of all I really wanted to bring up.
Yeah, and that radar loop, which we didn't manage to show yet, so there it is. And that's another view of the storm as it's
I'm going to slow
through.
it down. Hold on. That's too slow.
Sweeping through the whole coast of Florida there, and yeah, you see some of those tornado warnings. I didn't hear much about their impacts, those tornado warnings, to be honest, either, so I don't know. And Tricky Mario 7654, thank you for the support as well. We appreciate it here. What do you think of the Florida government's quick recovery efforts to the hurricane? I mean, I would like to hope that they did as well as they could. But again, I don't really know much about all of that. But if anyone wants to offer their comments about how the recovery is going down there in southwestern Florida, do let us know, because I suppose this is a little bit about thinking back to the storm and being able to talk about its aftermath. I guess the upgrade from the National Hurricane Center, their cyclone report, in any case, coming out today, opens the window to have that discussion today. So certainly, quite a few more comments there as well. Seek says there are no typhoons or storms in the Philippine area of responsibility ? Nothing at the moment, but check in with us in a few minutes and we'll show you some models. GFS does have something in the longer range for the region. Joey's Real Life says it's so damn borderline, I think it's hard to go either way. Honestly, I have to wonder how much impacts may have affected people's view on the hurricane especially. Well, let's get it straight. The wind speeds, the category of the storm, didn't make very much difference to what happened, whether it was a 4. I mean, still a 4 at landfall. If it was a 5 at landfall, it wouldn't have been too much different either. Slightly worse, of course. Let's talk to Jose. You're down there, aren't you?
Yep.
Can you remind us where in Florida you are?
East Park.
Where's that, sorry?
Stewart.
Okay. And how are things in your area?
Calm. Just got a couple of rain showers finally. It's been right down here.
Oh, right now. I mean, during the storm.
Oh, yeah.
We're struggling with your signal, I think. I remember, though, you were on with us on quite a few of those live streams.
Yeah, I was. I was nervous and worried about the West Coast after hearing about Ian. I was gonna say I had one friend that he went to his grandmother's house during Ian, and he told me about his dad driving through the storm surge, and he told me it was like hell, like complete hell, seeing all that storm surge getting piled up. I just can't imagine how it would be seeing that.
Absolutely. I mean, pretty crazy amounts of storm surge. I remember us watching it pretty much live as it was happening. It was just coming up at such an intense rate. And here's some video after the storm in the, I think this was the Fort Myers area. And you can see quite a lot of that damage. And this is another view from, I think, Fort Myers there as well. And just an assortment of clips that we gathered over time here. This is some of the Navy, I think, or the Coast Guard clips showing what was going on, and doing a lot of rescues. I think that might be one of them there as well. So they were doing all kinds of things, of course, and there were many rescues that occurred after the storm impacted, as you would expect, but still quite a serious case. I'll go back to the main satellite feature again, and we'll play that through. But certainly a remarkable storm. If you've just joined us, it occurred a while ago. It was this morning local time in Florida. The national hurricane, very early in the morning actually, local time, I think it was about 7 or 8 a.m. With the National Hurricane Center upgraded Hurricane Ian to a Category 5 in the National Hurricane Center's post-season analysis. You can vote on the live poll. How many of you think that it was a Category 5 or not? Currently 85% say yes, still 15% no there. So there's a handful of people out there right now. Looks like some more software is failing at the moment, but it looks like the stream is still running, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Just when we wanted to stream, things decided they wanted to go belly up. But continue to send your comments and questions in live, and we'll get to the models shortly. Olsney Bronze says, does the GFS say that there will be new storms that form in the southern hemisphere? There could be a couple. Jay says, El Nino, huh? Do we think that we could see a 2015 part 2? I see, that's the first question. Nice. Interesting. No, I don't think it's going to be as much of a super El Nino as that one was. Certainly one of the biggest in modern times. But I think we will see potentially a substantial El Nino on the way. And certainly looking at those very warm SSTs off the coast of Peru and South America. Quite a bit going on there already. So, Solver says, what's my reasoning for not thinking that it's a Category 5? I'm just not particularly impressed by the data and the National Hurricane Center, and we don't know much about this algorithm thing, but I'm always skeptical about it has to be said, I am always skeptical about these things, certainly when it involves post upgrades. I look on it quite critically. But there's certainly a case for it. NHC say that, and this is science in general, there's always an error margin, about 10% deviation, and they've gone in the middle, and they think still a very borderline case, but they've gone with the Category 5. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't bother me particularly, but I just don't think it was a Category 5 storm. We got our team back right now. I think it was the software that was breaking down there for a minute. I'm not sure why. Anyone else wanted to pick up on anything?
I'm back with you,
Ethan.
Nathan, and I've got the track animation.
The track, yes. You made this. Oh, the stream failed to start. Why is nothing working right now?
I don't know. Maybe I need to restart my stream.
Oh no, there's nothing. Hold on a minute. Let's try again.
Working for me. Oh.
Yeah, not working for me. I don't know why.
It's working.
Well, it's just not working here. I don't know.
Well, anyway, I know that you were wanting to ask me a question though before I had.
I can't remember what the question was now. But I was talking about my thoughts about Ian basically, just leading up until then. So I think we may have lost them again. Actually, why is this happening today? Well, I'll tell you what. In a moment, I'm just going to get this loaded up now, and we will take a look at the forecast models for right now, considering that I really don't know what's happening on there at the moment. First of all, let's take a look at a live view. That's another noise we don't want to hear, of the United States, just for those who are curious. And the US team are actually doing a live, not a live stream.
What
but...
are we doing here?
Hold on, we've got them in the background again. Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
Oh, there's Walter in the background. I'm just going... I just wanted
Hi.
to mention the US right now, and our severe weather team are doing a stage call in the public server right now. If you want to join discord.gg/force13. There's 1 or 2 severe thunderstorm warnings out there right now, but I was going to go straight onto the models, but now that we've got Walter there in the background, let's just cut to you for a moment here and talk to us about what your thoughts are on Hurricane Ian's upgrade. Walter, floor is yours. They've crashed again. Can you believe it? I don't know what's going on over there. I'm doing my best. I mean, there's not much I can do. Let's take a look at the GFS model then for the next few days and take a look at what we're expecting around the world. So I'm going to load in all of these frames, which loads in every 6 hours. We've got the latest 18Z, and we can show you the whole world. We'll start off with the Atlantic when all of those frames get built in. Hopefully this is working, otherwise we'll have real problems. And then we'll see where we're up to. In the meantime, feel free to send in your comments and questions. Start your message with Force 13, all in text. Juan Carlos says, do you think Darian also can be upgraded to Category 5? I'm hesitant on that one as well, if I'm being honest. Some people in our team think so, I believe, but I would keep it at 150, maybe 155. I really don't know what's going on with our team right now, and it's quite difficult to diagnose the issue whilst I'm on the air. Anyways, we've got the models loading in. This is the GFS, and it is still loading in right now, but I can show you a little thing here. Look at that off the coast of the Azores next week, around the 8th or 9th of April, and I'm here to tell you not to worry about it. This system forms here, moves southwards. It is non-tropical. It is cold core, so this will not be a named storm. That is not happening, but it will be an interesting feature to look at as it develops to the south of the Azores. That's the one system. Move out over to the Eastern Pacific. I doubt there'll be anything here, even into the long range, which is still loading. Nope. Now, Western Pacific fans, this is going to be of interest to you. It's not within the 5 days, but it's a bit beyond that. The GFS is showing up something substantial. There it is, a tropical cyclone forming not far from Palau, around about the 8th or maybe 9th of April. So this actually is within the 5 days. It's just that none of the other models are picking up on it at all, so it's just the GFS on its own, and that's why we've not given it a chance yet. But look what happens to it there. Intensifying, becomes quite a significant tropical cyclone, moving to the northwest. Whether it goes under effect the Philippines or not, question mark. I'm still waiting for the rest of that to load. I might have to restart the program to do that, but at least we get to see the beginning part there, which takes us to the 10th of April there. So we'll just look around the whole world first, and I'll try and get the longer range. North Indian Ocean, nothing. Southwest Indian Ocean, let's take a look over here. I don't think there's anything there. Nope. Australian region. Now, first of all, you can see the remnants of Herman. That's this. That just completely dies off. Now look up here in this area. It's actually off the screen. Let's just pan round. This area, round about the Papua New Guinea, Indonesia border region, stretching towards the Northern Territory of Australia. And you can see that in the later part, in fact, last model run had it forming it near here, but actually this newer model run takes it across there over some of those Indonesian islands and towards East Timor, and then moving southwards. And does it develop into anything? Well, it tries to. It's still there trying on April the 10th there. That's day 6, just entering day 7 even, and you can see there it's trying to become something, maybe even does briefly, in a very odd position. South Pacific, very little going on there. Yep, nothing at all. And I'll try and get the long range for that shortly. But in the meantime, all I've got for you right now is this satellite imagery of myself, because something's really wrong with the connections on our team at the moment. I don't know what it is, so I'm going to try and get that resolved if possible. You know, it's been quite a while since we did a proper live stream, and just as soon as we decide to do it, it decides to go crazy. What can you do? But thankfully, I'm still here and we're still on the air. This is Force 13 Live. Feel free to send in your comments and questions, and I'll be able to take those either about Hurricane Ian and its reanalysis from the National Hurricane Center, that's the news today, or about current tropical activity, of which there appears to be very little. People talking about a Force 13 scale. I'm not sure what you're talking about yet, although we are working on our own. In fact, we are in advanced testing phases on our own our new cyclone impact scale, so we are looking at that. Jay says, do you all think the subtropical storm earlier should have been named Arlene? Now, yes, those who didn't see it, there was a curious situation where there was a potential system that was forming in the Western Atlantic, moving up towards Atlantic Canada. National Hurricane Center didn't name it, and I am still yet to make a decision on that one myself personally. I've not seen it properly yet. Do we think the National Hurricane Center had a valid reason to upgrade Ian? Interesting line of questioning there. They'll have more data than we have on the surface of things, so they're more likely to know the answer. Whether they have enough information to make a determined answer that's beyond reasonable doubt, I doubt. But they're siding with the Category 5. I still would side with the Category 4, but I guess I'm quite a conservative analyst. It's 5 mile an hour here and there, though, isn't it, really? Evan Lopez wants to know my personal analysis on Moranti and Maria, both powerful Category 5 storms. Moranti probably around 180 to 185 miles per hour, Maria around 175. Both very impressive storms, though, and had a lot of power in them. And just moved off here. Oh, got quite a few questions, I think. Which hurricane has a higher chance of being a Category 5, Ian or Iota? Iota, I would say, to be honest, because I still have it as Category 5, so that's what I would go with, but people have different opinions. What do we think on Ian? Very, I mean, yeah, we're trying to establish the answer there. You've got my take on it. We've heard from some of our live team before the connection went down, and I think it's a big server issue with one of these with some of this software, so I don't know what to tell you about that. But I think that from what I garnered, quite a lot of the team were surprised to see the Category 5 update, but can see why they did it, I guess. I think that's what they are probably... I mean, I don't really want to speak for them, but in the absence of them right now, that's what I garnered from looking at there and listening to.
Looking casual discussion. Look what I posted.
All right, give me a second.
We can hear them now. Hello.
Oh, hi.
Wow.
All right, we're back. I don't know. There's something going on with the probably a widespread outage. I was just talking about what Martin's weather team said. What do we think on Ian? That's sort of the whole purpose of this, most of the purpose of the stream. Does anyone think that it absolutely shouldn't have been upgraded?
No.
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 I mean, they're the officials at the end of the day.
I think the upgrade is justified, in my opinion.
Interesting.
But personally, I know that you want to ask me a question on Ian, probably. Personally, I have experience whenever it comes to tracking these storms on radar. And
Right.
I remember comparing this storm very closely to Hurricane Michael. Whenever I was tracking Hurricane Michael, Michael in particular had widespread velocity values, which is basically like X-ray vision looking at the wind profile of a storm, or in this case a hurricane. Michael had widespread velocity values of 185 miles per hour at the time of landfall. And obviously the National Hurricane Center went with an intensity of 160 miles per hour for that. Ian, at the time of the recon flight, which was at around 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, they did find, well, the velocity radars had wind speeds of around 180 miles per hour. So for that time of the recon flight, I'd say probably 155 miles per hour is probably justified for the time of the recon flight. But it is worth noting that 2 hours after, I remember going through and looking back at the radar and found 185 miles per hour readings really across the whole eye wall, to be honest. So I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that Ian is a Cat 5, even based on those recon readings, whenever you combine the radar data as well.
Damn. Disappointing, Ethan.
What about that?
What?
Wow.
Wait.
And when we're just looking at some of this radar imagery again here, you can see it there as it was advancing
Nathan?
beyond the Cayman Islands. Yeah.
Nathan, I want to, ask about your opinions. Because I don't know.
Well, I was talking
What do you
about it a
think?
lot whilst the connection was out, and I was just talking
Yeah,
about what I mean.
Is it justified? No,
Um,
first of all, is it justified, you think?
It could be. I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, that's so. But we did
That's all?
want to hear from you, Walter, because you got cut off. So, what were your thoughts about this news today?
I think it was what I think I kind of expected it to, upgrade. But yeah, that's all. I kind of expected it, to be honest. To be
Interesting.
really perfectly honest.
Quite a lot
But
of people didn't, though, despite
it's
what they say now.
like,
Storm Dennis says, Ian
it's
reminds
kind
me of
50-50.
Cyclone Sidr in terms of structure and pressure.
I could see why you would say that. By the way, Nathan, I've
But,
still got the track of Ian up on my screen.
But-
But go ahead, Walter.
Like
Oh, it works.
the which storm is it? Ah, right. So Ian, it got upgraded to a Cat 5, but it's still a Cat 4 Landfall, which is actually really reasonable behavior as well. We all can agree that Ian didn't make Landfall as a Cat 5. We all can agree on that, right?
Yeah,
Right?
it is worth noting that
Yeah.
the tropical cyclone report did not even change the strongest landfall intensity. It's still at 150 miles per hour. Although operationally, it was at 940 millibars. The TCR brought that up 1 millibar, but the wind speed remains unchanged for its strongest landfall, which was at
Yeah.
Cayo Costa, Florida.
Yeah, that's right. This was Ethan's animation. That when did you publish this?
I believe a week after the storm.
A week after the storm. And he preempted the National Hurricane Center there.
I'm just looking back.
Any changes to that secondary peak, by the way?
Yes, actually. There was
Yes? Oh, well, it all came to an abrupt stop there. Have we lost them again? Not getting much luck today with all this. Oh, well, let's show you once again some of the damage and some of the aerial views that were taken of the storm after it impacted the region. I'm sure many of you remember these views. So a reminder of this storm's vast impacts, despite regardless of its final accurate number, the facts remain the same, with this storm causing many tens of fatalities, over 100 I think it was, and billions of dollars in damages. Another extremely costly storm for the United States. Frustrating once again that I can't get hold of the team, just keeps cutting out with the software here. Misery says, how relatable do you think this is to what happened with Michael in 2018? Not vastly, really, to be honest. I don't think. Hit a different part of Florida, of course, but Michael was a different beast. I'm not sure how we. Michael looked better, of course, but I find it quite difficult to explain otherwise. And I think it was Ian was probably at least a little bit bigger than Michael as well when it impacted, but yet the pressure wasn't as low, which is quite curious. How did Ian have a medium to big sized eye? I reckon the Cuba landfall did a lot of that. The eye was it was really popping out when it was, before it even emerged off the coast of Cuba, and then it just started to grow and grow and grow again. And should we make a song about Hurricane Ian in a similar mood to the day after Dorian? That I don't know. Well, it would have had to have happened already if that was going to happen. So no, is my answer to that. During the coverage of Ian, how fast was it moving during its formation? I really don't remember that. I doubt it was moving that fast, just based on what I was looking at on Ethan's animation there. Jawlock Gaming says, will there be a 2023 music collection? There might have to be some new music to do that first, but we'll see what happens. But it would be near the end of the year if it was. And how do you identify 3 mist systems by the Central Pacific as subtropical storms and not as Kona storms? I mean, I think people have differing opinions on those as well. Are we talking about last year's? I think I recognize 2 of them, to be fair. They just seem to have the appearance, deep convection, obviously the circulation, and the wind profile based on ASCAT would support a subtropical storm, I believe, in 2 of those instances last season. Juan Carlos says El Nino 1+2 region SST anomaly is plus 2.138. Is the SST too high? It depends what you mean by too high. Are we talking about too high for its own good, or too high for tropical cyclones to form? I mean, there isn't such a thing, really. It favors the El Nino forming pretty soon. And that would of course favor much elevated Pacific activity and suppressed Atlantic activity. Do we reckon that Ada had a chance of Category 5 with its minus 80 degree eye wall, its pinhole eye, and also the recon gap that got to it after it started to degrade and found 150 miles per hour? I'm not a fan of that, to be honest. I don't think it... I think they got that pretty much spot on, to be honest. I just skipped there again. There's loads of comments that I've not got to yet. Was Ian a PTC before it strengthened as a hurricane? You know, I can't remember whether Ian was a PT. It feels like so long ago now. Already thinking back to last year. Someone help us with that one, because I really can't remember. Do we think that Ian has a higher chance than Matthew? I assume to have been a Category 5 storm. I would say no. I think that Matthew has a higher chance, personally. What do we think about the replacements for Ian and Fiona? Yes, we haven't got to talk about that yet either. And I would personally say that they're mere names, for being honest. Idris or Idris and Farah. I don't know. Just meh. Joe is real life says it's impressive how similar Ian and Charlie's first KO Costa landfalls were by the National Hurricane Center. 0.1 latitude difference, same 941 millibars pressure, same 130 knots. Yeah, we definitely talked about that when it was happening. It was really eerie, I suppose. Only that Ian was quite a bit larger. Excuse me. How did Ian not weaken after its landfall in Cuba, says Misery? Well, it wasn't a massive landmass. It struck Cuba near the western tip, so land interaction didn't have enough of an impact for the storm. But it was impressive that it did appear to strengthen over land, if we're being honest, rather than do any weakening, really. And that really set the stage. And Christopher Campfield says, what do we think of Hurricane Ian's eye wall lightning? I found it very interesting. Have we seen so much lightning in any other hurricane in the past? Hard to say on that, because the GLM imagery, of course, is obviously the best it's been with the newest satellites. So prior to 2016 or 2017, you know, we didn't have as good imagery of that lightning coverage. So it was impressive. There was a lot of lightning around the eye wall, and as we know, that can indicate, especially when it's on both sides in circular motions, big indicators of rapid intensification. So we certainly got a good look at that when it was occurring. Air Shocker says, do you think Ian is more intense than the official pressure? I would say probably not. How many lightning strikes did occur in the eye wall of Ian? I've just lost it. Oh, there it is. I don't remember too many more convectively active storms. I don't have a number for you, but as we saw in the satellite imagery before, there was quite a lot. Let's see if we can go back to that satellite imagery, or in fact get the actual lightning loop just to show everyone again. I think it's on... no, trying to find it. It's this one, I think. This one in particular I'm most fond of. Oh, well, it's over there somewhere. There it is. Look at all of that lightning going on when the storm was intensifying, probably rapidly, and you can see there just all around the storm's eye wall. Really impressive how that was occurring. And even further away from the eye as well, quite a lot going on there too. With the El Nino, will the Atlantic get a break from all the storms? fingers crossed. I really hope so. I'm showing my bias here. We are fed up. I am fed up of the Atlantic hogging all of the world's attention. It's time for the Pacific to get its mojo back for a little bit. I mean, it's been phenomenally... like the seesaw between the Atlantic and the Pacific has been phenomenally on the Atlantic side for quite a while. So the Pacific is absolutely due for a big season soon. Maybe this season, I don't know. And do we think Emily should have been retired? We're talking about the 2005 one. It was Impressive Storm, but I would say no. Can't think of any other Emilys. There's, of course, the one in 93 that gave the US East Coast a run for its money, but another interesting looking storm, that one, by the way. Will we include Invest 90L in the 2023 animation? Remains to be seen. I don't know the answer yet. That will be our analyst team to decide that one, I would imagine. Let's go back to those satellite, all of the satellite views of the storm again. I thought it broke then for a minute. How do we shrink this down again? So there we go. There we go. And how do we pronounce Ian's replacement? I haven't figured that out yet. I'm sure the NHC will have it on their site or somewhere. It's, I mean, Lucas Marble there, you put out some of the possibilities. Idris, or Idris. It's another one that's going to be big question marks across the board there. So maybe we should do a poll on that as well. Do Southern Hemisphere storms get retired? Yes, they do. Quite a lot of them, especially in the Australian region. They're very trigger happy with their retirements down there. Another question, if the condition 2022 were not so hostile in the Atlantic, how many storms do you think could have formed? I mean, they still got a decent number in the end, didn't they? But, I mean, I suppose, well... we see on the seasons where conditions are favourable just how crazy the season can get. So every season has the possibility to get into the auxiliary naming list if conditions are perfect, but of course they rarely ever are. Do we know what happens if the conventional naming list and the auxiliary list run out of names, with what names will be named the rest of the storm? You really think that'll happen? That would require, I think, 46 named storms. I don't think it's on anyone's minds in authority. I really don't. Lucas says, did Herman intensify or dissipate faster because it went in and out in the blink of an eye? Well, I was away for a 6-day trip during Herman, so unfortunately I didn't get to see it very much. I did see it at peak. I didn't see its intensification or its dying phase, but I do believe from what the team said that it was at the drop of a hat. Shelley Marsh says, how shocked were you when Alpha and Beta formed in 2020, marking the first Greek storm names in 15 years? Well, we knew that we were getting close to it at the time. Of course, at the start of the season, it was a big surprise if you asked someone then. But obviously, when you saw the season transpiring, when we got as far as Teddy and whatnot, then, you know, things were just going crazy. And yeah, there's quite a lot else going on there. We are going to run over time. But I did want to show you before we finished, and unfortunately I still can't get hold of the team. There's some real outages going on right now. Wanted to show you the long range. So once again, the short range, of course, we showed you that Atlantic little thingy, which doesn't become tropical. Let's just check quickly the Eastern Pacific. Anything there? Nope, no signs of life, no sign of the season starting. Western Pacific, there's that system again. I showed you out to April the 10th. Let's continue it. What else happens? It moves more towards the north and it starts to strengthen. There it is, typhoon status, a major typhoon status there. Crawling off to the northeast, and really a full life of a typhoon there, moving on towards the northeast past the Japanese islands. So they're interesting. I mean, you would probably give a cutoff point in April to around here for storms becoming post-tropical, but it manages to make it probably to there. I don't know about whether that will happen. North Indian Ocean, anything here? No. Completely dead throughout the duration. Southwest Indian Ocean, very quiet. Well, there's a system there. Will it try to get tropical? Might do. Very short-lived. And what else happens out that Australian system? Anything else? Oh yes, there it is, wrapping up, and that is a significant cyclone landfall on the western coast of Western Australia. I think that's near Derby, if I'm not mistaken, or was it Broome over there? And then inland and southeastwards. And then another system right at the very end of the model run there, a very powerful one, looks almost like Tracy, small and powerful, moving in towards Darwin. That's right at the end though, so I wouldn't worry about that. That's the 19th of April. South Pacific also gets in on the act in the late part of the model run. Well, first of all, there's that system there that goes on to impact Fiji. That's on the 13th and 14th, and then moves down towards the southeast. Quite powerful, becomes rather large, but in the very late part of that run, a system forming right up here, actually. That's near the equator. Well, okay, it's a little bit further down, getting towards 10 south, and then through the Solomon Islands, and look at that, really powerful towards the end of that loop there, a strong category 4 probably on that frame as it continues southwards, but once again, that's the very end of the run. What else? Anything right out towards the southeast? Nope. And just for the curious ones, the South Atlantic? No. So there we have it. I hate not being able to outroduce the team, but unfortunately I think it's going to end up that way as we take a look at, well, the merch store. If you want to go there, scan the barcode and you can take a look at all of our usual items and pillows and all that kind of stuff. And are still waiting for Hone t-shirts. We are still waiting. And you can also join our server, discord.gg/force13 for tropical weather chat at any time, and general weather chat and all kinds of other stuff on there all the time. What happened on this day? On April the 4th, 2003, Cyclone Inigo, an extremely powerful Category 5 storm, was peaking on this day to the southwest of Indonesia, in the southeastern Indian Ocean, the Australian region. Well to the northwest of Australia there, and it would move out to sea, but an extremely powerful storm on this day, and it was the only storm active in that year on this day. Wow. Well, back to this year. And thanks for tuning in to our live stream tonight. It is April the 4th. Arlene, first name in the Atlantic. Adrian in the Eastern Pacific. Hone in the Central Pacific. That's what we're waiting for. But when will they arrive? In the Western Pacific, next up is Sanvu. North Indian Ocean, we'll be looking out for Mocha, but no sign of it yet. 12 storms so far this year. Quite low. But of course one of them was Freddy. And in the Australian region, next up now is Ilsa, Southwest Indian Ocean, Fabienne, and in the South Pacific it's Lola. See you next time. Thanks for watching tonight's Tropical Weather Bulletin. Joey's real life says Idris is pronounced retired already. Good one. Good night.